Hi, this is Ushio, and welcome back to Echo. We're currently working our way through Flynn's route, even though in the last part, Flynn didn't feature at all. We had a bit of a flashback, and we learned a couple of things that might have happened in the past. But I think we're back in the present now. So I think we're still on Saturday, so we're coming toward the end of our week. And here is Cole. Dudes, I don't know about this. I peek into the bathroom, watching as Cole stares at himself in the mirror, running his fingers through his hair. He's going to go for that interview. I'm sure you look fine. Easy for you to say. You can't even grow hair. Cole sets the trimmer down, running his fingers through his beard. You tell him, Chase. Cole looks at me, and I have to agree that he looks quite a bit better. You look fantastic. A lot cleaner. I mean, thanks. Now, you might want to get that gamer stink off ya. You smell like JRPGs and energy drinks. I find myself snickering, though Cole doesn't look anywhere near a point of laughter. He just quietly shuts the door in my face. So, Chase, I didn't expect I'd see you again. I look over to Daxton, who's standing beside the bathroom door with his arms crossed. Neither did I. Cole asked me to come over, so I did. Daxton nods. Do you think he's got this? Haven't known Cole long enough to say, really. I hope he does. I can't help but thinking a lot of things could go wrong, you know? Cole doesn't get out much. It's weird thinking about the future like that, isn't it? I cock my head some in the amphibian's direction. What do you mean? The infinite possibilities of things that could happen. So expect the worst. With an infinite number of timelines, there's no such thing as a worst case scenario, just an infinite number of varying shades of bad. Wow, do you actually believe that? He clicks his tongue, waving his hand dismissively. No, it was an episode Adastra. Yeah. Daxton perks a furless brow toward me at the sound of the front door opening. We turn and make our way toward the entrance hall next to the kitchen. The familiar heavy footfalls are a dead giveaway of who's here. Didn't even know interviews were a fucking group event. Here he is. Flynn's tall form meanders in, carrying a few Tupperware containers in a plastic bag. He doesn't look at either of us. Well, he wanted us to be here, and they didn't have anything else going on. He's in the shower now. I fidget with the inside of my pockets, trying to look nonchalant. Daxton's big blue eyes dart from me to Flynn, and then back again. I got to go pee in something. I'll be right back. Alright, Flynn's mouth twitches, as if he's about to call Daxton back, but relents. Instead, he sets the bag on the kitchen island and begins rifling through it. His large tail twitches, and he furrows his brow, seemingly trying really hard to concentrate on whatever he's doing. Which, as I look closer, is essentially just rearranging the Tupperware in the bag over and over. Flynn. He stops. He shifts his gaze toward me, and I'm at a loss for what to say. Part of me wants to call him a fucking weird hypocritical arsehole. The other part, well, not really sure about the other part yet. Maybe if I just broach the topic of Chase. None of this shit matters. He gestures between us. I'm not going to try to speak cryptic to you here about feelings and shit. I just need to know that you got to keep your promise, okay? He's frowning down at me, but his expression is more uneasy than outright stern. Flynn. Fuck. His fist hits the countertop, and the next thing I know, he's moving around the kitchen and grabbing paper towels. The lasagna is goddamn leaking everywhere. It's like a fucking menstrual pad in there. Why'd you bring lasagna? Because Lardass needs to eat something besides pizza and self-hatred for a change. As opposed to you who eats salads and self-hatred? Shut the fuck up. At least I have it, self. What's that supposed to mean? What was that supposed to mean? Flynn doesn't respond. The geek are busy with stacking paper towels underneath the bag before shoving it into the fridge. I hear the sound of hooves on floorboards and turn around. Carla shuffled into the living room so quietly we didn't even notice. So, how does it look? He looks good, but I'm more concerned with the fact that he looks even more insecure than I've ever seen him. He shifts from hoof to hoof, not making eye contact at all, his fingers pulling at the rolled up sleeves. Very nice. You kinda look like you're pledging Alpha Lambda, but it works. What? Cole looks over at me and I give a start, realising how bad my silence must have seemed. You do look great. But, Daxton chuckles and Cole's eyes widen. What? The beanie? Do you always wear that? Cole lifts a paw to it. I mean, usually. You can't wear that. How do you even get it on? It's stretchy, and my head fur looks awful. Seriously, you can't wear a beanie to an interview. Cole's getting fidgety again, and Flynn butts in. Don't wear it. Oh, come on. He looks sad and angry at the same time, which gives me pause. You go to work with your shirt half off. I'll wear it if I want, it's my interview. Usually Flynn would banter back, calling Carl a stupid dumbass or something of that nature, but he says nothing. After a couple of seconds of silence, Daxton coughs. It's kind of awkward, there's like a proper atmosphere. Daxton looks at me and then back to Carl. Oh, I reckon it's okay. Carl sighs and shifts around again. We watch him expectantly. Dudes, this just feels weird is all. It's new, you'll get used to it. I pull out my phone to look at the time. Okay, we really need to head out. We should get there early. As we head to the door, Daxton makes as if to follow us. Flynn turns around to face him as Cole heads out the door. Hey, Dax. He stops. What? After the interview, me, Chase, and some of our other friends, we're gonna be doing something. Wait, is Carl on board with this plan too? Daxton raises a brow. Oh? So, could you fuck off for a bit? Jesus, Flynn. Part of me wouldn't mind a guy with Daxton's attitude present at what is surely going to be the biggest downer of the week, and to keep Flynn in check. Daxton doesn't budge, giving Flynn an indiscernible look. After a while, Flynn just sighs, rubbing his brow. It's got to do with personal stuff. Oh really? See? Why didn't you just say that? You wouldn't want to come. It's going to be some heavy shit. Are you the heavy shit in question? Flynn says nothing. After a moment, Daxton just exhales and shakes his head. Just let me know how the interview goes. As the salamander passes me, he speaks in a hushed tone. You deserve better, man. I look down at my feet before heading out to the car. You don't. Oh wow. Cole still looks confused after Flynn and I came out of the car without Daxton. Where's Dude Man? I make a show of buckling my seatbelt. We'll talk about it after your interview. What? He's not coming? He's the guy who knows the guy who runs the place. Yeah, well, you weren't going to be bringing him inside with you anyway. Cole stares at the dashboard as I back out, pretending to be distracted so I can muster up something reassuring. You know, Cole, you should talk about some of your art while you're in there. I hear it's good to look like you have a passion, especially one that's tangentially related to what you do. To be honest, I have no clue what sort of skills you need at a print shop. I look in my rearview mirror at the Ram, who still isn't saying anything. Hopefully not many. By the way, Flynn. Flynn's nostrils flare as if he's bracing himself. The big lizard had to back his seat up all the way to give himself enough legroom into my tiny sedan. I need to stop by City Hall before, well, you know, before we do the thing. Why? He responds with a wary dryness. I need to scan some photos to my thumb device. I forgot to do it when I was there last. I know where everything I need is. Shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. Yeah, okay. I've got my key card in my wallet. Flynn scratches his groin idly, looking out the window as we pass the diner. I'm kind of surprised he didn't protest more. Carl stays quiet as we drive through the rest of Echo, and I swerve to avoid all of the potholes. As I'm merging into the highway, Flynn speaks up. I cooked you some shit to celebrate you joining the workforce and such. Fancy ass organic store ramen with this spiced sausage stuff and lasagna, same recipe that my uncle used. That's, premature, right? If there's a food reward waiting for you, your fat ass can do anything. Wow, I resist the urge to nod in agreement. I hope you're right. We fall back into silence, and it stays that way for the remaining 20-minute drive. Cole gets more nervous the closer we get. I can see his knees bouncing out of the corner of my eye as he stares out the window. Flynn reaches back and puts a hand on one of them as we pull into the parking lot of the print shop. The Gilly mutters something to the Ram, but I can't make out any of it. You look awesome, and you're going to do amazing. Cole starts taking deep breaths, staring out the windshield. Just be yourself. Everybody loves a relaxed employee. I wish you'd let me have a smoke before we left. Yeah, go to an interview smelling like pot. Great idea. Cole giggles nervously, but otherwise doesn't move. Do you want us to go in with? Cole shakes his head quickly, unbuckling his seatbelt as he opens the car door. No man, I'll be fine. Okay, cool. I'll be waiting. He looks to Flynn, who just gives him a little nod. I grin at him, but he just shuts the door and ambles up to the print shop. He pushes on the doors, and when they don't move, pushes harder, shaking the glass. I start to open my door to tell him to put it instead, but he seems to figure it out before I have to and disappears inside. Oh, Cole. Fucking hell. I look over, and Flynn has his palms over his face. I sigh, leaning my seat back. I try to take a nap, because it feels like I haven't slept in ages for some reason. Though the heat beating down through the windows starts becoming too uncomfortable. I turn the AC back on, then shuffle through the stations, but I only had Twangy Country and Mariachi. I look at the time. 10:10 AM. If the interview started on time, he was probably almost done with it by now. I sort of want to go inside, but I know Cole wouldn't want me to. I settle back again and close my eyes, trying to get some relief from the fading AC. Then the door rattles, and I hear haphazard hoofsteps. I open my eyes, but no one's there. Flynn doesn't seem to have noticed, his own eyes closed. I do catch some movement disappearing around the side of the store, and I lean around to get a better look. I wait, but Cole, or at least I think it's Cole, doesn't come back from around the corner. Looking around, I slowly open my door. Cole. Flynn awakens with a start, looking around some. Is he out yet? Nothing. Cole. I yell it, but he still doesn't come out. Feeling some dread build up in my stomach, I get out of the car and slowly walk around the side of the building. Flynn joins. The hell's going on? It's an alley between the print shop and what I think is a laundromat. Nothing is in the alley except for a few dumpsters and clumps of garbage. I step carefully around puddles covered in oil slick and wonder if maybe he'd really just wanted to smoke. Cole? Something shifts on the other side of one of the dumpsters, and I hear sniffling. Wordlessly, I walk around the dumpster to the other side. Cole's bent over, his back to me, paws at his knees. His whole body is shaking, and his breaths are ragged. Holy shit, Cole. Before I can do anything, Flynn's at his side. You okay, man? What happened? The stench of vomit hits my nose, and I don't need to look closely to know what the puddle between Cole's hooves is. Cole makes sure to turn his face away from us, not saying a word. Shit. I dash back to the car and open the passenger door so I can get to the glove box. I pull out a few napkins before hurrying back to the Ram. When I return, Flynn is quietly rubbing his back. He takes them from me wordlessly and starts wiping his face. The last time I'd seen Cole like this was just last year, when he'd had a panic attack at school. I didn't think he'd have that problem now, after all the therapy and time away. I feel kinda useless just standing there watching them. At least he's not hyperventilating. The Ram has his horns pressed up against the wall, taking deep breaths as he wipes his face again. Why do I suck at everything? He says it quietly between gasps, but I can make it out. Not everything. Come on, let's go. He starts to pull at his arm, but he yanks it from him violently. Don't touch me. Flynn and I are stunned into silence. I just stare at him, mouth open. He glances at me, and his eyes are red, and for once, it's not because of weed. Cole starts off toward the car on his own, spitting off to the side as he does. Cole, what happened? He whirls on me. I fucked up, obviously. Any more fucking questions? A few, yeah. His voice breaks apart on the last sentence, and he turns away from us as his face starts to screw up. My stomach feels hollow as I watch Cole get into the car. I've never ever seen him like this. He immediately hunches forward behind the driver's seat, head into his paws. I slowly walk up to the driver's side door, feeling like shit myself, and Flynn joins. The Gita tugs at the scales around his chin, teeth grit. His expression's just bizarre, like intermittent smiling in between almost nauseous-looking face contortions. Fuck. We sit for a while, waiting to see if Cole is going to say anything. And he does. I'm sorry. He blurts it through his fingers. I look over at him, scared to say anything in case I say the wrong thing. It was a disaster, dudes. He takes in a deep, shuddering breath. He could tell I wasn't into it right away. I was awkward as fuck. He leans back and tugs at his shirt. This isn't me, and they knew it, and it got me nervous. I've been nervous ever since I put on these clothes, since I got this stupid trim. We sit in silence for a long time until Cole finally looks at me and smiles. God damn it. We all knew this was going to happen, right? Just like at Pueblo with you, Chase, and with your Uncle Flynn. I'm just a fuck-up. Nah, it's my fault, man. I told ya I was going to coach ya, and I never got around to it. And I'm the tit dirt who made Dak stay behind. Maybe he could have helped. I don't fucking know. The Giddard takes in a seething breath. You can't be expected to go into the ship blind and spit out exactly what some mid-level manager named Skyle wants to hear. Well, it's fucked like that, just banging walls sometimes. No, dude, I'm the one that screwed up at the interview. Carl settles back into his seat. Now with that fuck up out of the way, I sigh, looking out at the hazy horizon, in the direction of where I know Echo is. On to the next. None of this fucking matters, Cole, don't worry. Flynn gives me a look, and then closes his eyes. I don't know if Flynn believes what he's saying. So with that, I turn on the ignition and pull out of the parking lot, leaving the print shop and its alley far behind us. It's quiet inside. Not that I expected any noise or anything, but still. Flynn's desk looks pretty clean, except for a stack of documents labelled March 1st County Code Amendment Board Review. Upon closer inspection, there also appears to be a book propped up against his monitor. Municipal Economic Development Free Market Solutions for Public Problems. A sticky note is attached to the front, with flowery cursive handwriting that states, "Read this." I hear Flynn step up beside me, seeming to notice my gawking. He doesn't say anything though. Instead, he just walks over to his computer chair and takes a seat. Cole ambles in after him. If I didn't know better, I think he was high-judging from how puffy and red his eyes are. You don't actually come inside here too often, do you, Cole? Cole shakes his head. It's still really weird that you're our secretary. Cole half mumbles. Clark. Flynn rests his elbows on the desk, rubbing his fingers together. You know, elections are coming up here soon. There's a few positions up for grabs. He looks to Cole, and it takes a few seconds for Cole to look back and get the meaning. That's cool, I guess. Flynn opens his mouth, pauses, and speaks. Maybe even the Clark position? I was heading toward the mailroom, but that catches my attention. I stop. What? Do you think you'll be, voted out? Flynn shrugs. I might not run. Cole lets out a little huffy noise, sniffing and wiping his nose with the inside of his shirt. So you're gonna go back to unloading freight? Flynn doesn't respond immediately, as if weighing something in his mind. He pushes the power button on his desktop tower, and the whir of the internal fan breaks the silence. I might not even be here. Even Cole looks up now. What? The Gila seems to grimace slightly, his maw pulled into a sneer, as if whinging at himself. Fucking Chase, you gonna get your shit scanned or not? I straighten some, not really having expected him to shift focus and snap at me. Okay, oh god, what do we do? I mean, he's asked us to go, but he's also kind of said that he might be leaving Echo, is that what he's saying? Come on, tell us. What the hell? What does he mean by that? Flynn, what? He's staring at me, and it's like all the air has been sucked out of the room. I'll swallow. Are you going somewhere? Flynn looks to Cole, as if expectant. Cole blinks, meeting Flynn's gaze. Are you, dude? Flynn's sharp stare lulls, but only slightly. I don't know yet. What the fuck? Cole, it really doesn't... Shit. Do you see the way Chase is acting? Cole looks at me for a moment and then back to Flynn. No. His voice is quiet. You're gonna leave too? I don't want to leave, Cole. Flynn shifts in his seat, his tail curled tight around the base post of his chair. Cole just seems still, and I can't even see him breathing. Jesus fuck, Chase. All I did was ask. Flynn reaches into his desk drawer and pulls out a can of lemon lime soda, holding it up in Cole's direction. You did something, alright? Just give me a minute, alright? I need to talk to Lardass. Do your shit. Ah, fine. I rub the space between my brow and step out of the room. The mailroom looks a little different for some reason. It's not nearly as neat as it was, with some of the parcel folders scattered on the main table, documents dog-eared and tape tagged. I step forward and the heel of my foot hits something hard and metal. It rolls out from beneath me and I have to use my tail to catch my balance. Jesus fuck. I find myself involuntarily clutching my chest, trying to regain my composure as I check what I nearly broke my neck on. A fireplace poker? Well, actually pokers. There's like 5 of them, just sitting here on the floor. Thank God I didn't step on the pointy end. What are these even doing here? I step around the pile when I hear the sound of Flynn's raspy voice from the other room. So, you didn't see anything. Cole speaks next, but his tone is too low and rumbly to make anything out. I remember the other day that while I was working on the computer in the corner, I could hear most of what was being said in the main office. The walls are thin. I mean... do it, listen. I move to the corner of the room and press my ear against the wall. At first I didn't hear anything, but then Cole coughs, and it sounds like he's right next to me. Dude, I don't know what you're going off about. Don't bullshit me. Flynn snaps back. Silence follows. I hear what sounds like metal scraping against the wall. The plaster drywall creaks ever so slightly in reaction to Cole shifting weight. I don't know. Flynn sighs. But why didn't you tell me that you were going? I might not. Nothing's set in stone. It's not my decision anyway. What do you mean it's not your decision? Dude, you're like an adult with money. I hear the sound of typing on an old mechanical keyboard, the intermittent pecking evident that it's Flynn. It's my aunt. She wants to bring me up north for a while. Oh. Cole coughs again. Is this for, you know, that FLDS stuff? You know, I don't actually fucking know. Office chair creaks. Flynn must be leaning back or standing up. She gets all obsessed with shit, like she's religious and all that, but she couldn't give 2 fucks that I like dick. She only believes what she wants to believe in, and a lot of that shit's made up. Even more made up, I mean. There's a pause. Not to go full fedora on ya. What I'm trying to say is, she's been pushing me to leave because she feels like we should. And you're okay with that? She's been saying everything's gonna go to tits soon. The air's wrong. Something's in the rocks. She's right. She's always right. What? Silence. Not even a shuffling of hooves or the squeak of a chair. I hold my breath, trying to hear something, anything. All I can hear is the slight ringing in my ears and the thud of my own heartbeat. It feels like minutes pass and nothing happens. Fuck, do they know I'm listening? I quickly step back away from the wall and shuffle back to the centre table with all the folders. My eyes dart to the doorway, half expecting Flynn to be standing with his blue-green eyes piercing right at me. But there's nothing. I'll have to ask Cole about all of this when he's feeling better. For now, I should probably at least try to focus on the task at hand. It looks like some of the folders I went through are still on the desk. I thought I put those away though? Maybe the mayor was checking to make sure I didn't take anything, or was just curious as to what I was looking at. Well, it doesn't matter now. It actually cuts down some work of trying to find most of this stuff. I plug my keychain thumb drive into the printer and I begin to scan. I can't help but think about Carl in the print shop while I'm at it. He's basically been on the giant summer vacation for the last 2 years with no real worries about money or anything. To go from having to wake up every morning at 6 AM and then drive all the way to Paynton and do this for 8 hours? I mean, it's easy, I think. Once you get the basic handle of things, it's the kind of job that you can kinda autopilot. You can drift away and just daydream most of the day. I had jobs like that growing up too. Hell, if I went to Mesa instead of Pueblo, I would have probably ended up behind the till at Leo's dad's place. Despite everything, I can't help but feel that might have actually been kinda fun. Leo's dad's really nice, always offering to help with things and never seeming too skeeved regarding gay stuff. But, of course, I have to get away from this town. And Peyton's not far enough. I'm still not even sure I like journalism. I mean, the classes are interesting and all, but I'm imagining trying to sell myself and my work to all the outlets and... I don't know. I guess I don't really have the energy for it. Plus, I never really liked looking at myself on screen. Oh, I don't really remember seeing this one before. This must be from a folder I didn't look at. There's no descriptive text attached to it. I place the photo on the scanner. After a few minutes, I think I've got most of what I need. I remove my thumb drive and turn the power off for the scanner. As I step out into the hall, I notice that the door to the mayor's office is open. It's still pretty quiet in here. You know, I never really knew much about Flynn's aunt. She was kind of in and out of his life growing up from what I recall, and usually didn't stick around Echo for long. Her and Flynn's uncle had a weird relationship, and it wasn't like I ever hung out at Flynn's place enough to learn more. He was always just a bit too old to really pal around with like I did with the rest of the group. I mean, Leo was like a year younger, but he didn't really act like it. Flynn was basically an adult by the time he was 14, by the way he handled himself, all self-reliant and such. Curious, I step into the office and am taken aback by how much it smells like potpourri. My nose takes me to the source, a small bowl filled with slightly decayed plant life of a wide variety of colours. It gives the office a sort of flower garden scent which doesn't really match the aesthetic. Black, white and red everywhere. Like a supervillain who could only buy hobby shop decorations. I step over a small pile of alabaster quartz which sits in a ceramic dish on the floor. Which is strange, of course. There's a weird looking globe on the edge of her desk too. I step closer and notice several prongs which hover over what I think is the meridian. Actually, there's no landmass indications or any labelling on the sphere to speak of. I reach out and touch the smooth plastic surface. Pressing down, I give the globe a gentle spin. As it rotates, the middle prong begins to bounce like a dowsing rod before sticking to the surface. As the sphere continues to spin, the sticky effect lessens and it bounces back. Must be a magnet on the other side. I spin it some more, and the other prongs lean slightly towards specific points on the globe. It's kind of a weird knick-knack. There's not really anything in here that can help me with my project though. And with that, I turn and make my way back to the front office. Suddenly, a familiar lynx rounds the corner. Chase? What are you doing here? He stops in his tracks, fidgeting with himself. The feline keeps rolling and unrolling the bottom of his shirt. I don't see any sign of Flynn or Cole. Oh, hi TJ. I was with Flynn and Cole. I'm scanning some stuff for my project. Oh. He frowns in acknowledgement, nodding. How did Cole's job interview go? His frown shifts to a tepid smile, awaiting my response. Not good. And just like that, it's gone. Oh. Well, there's a lot of work in Peyton. He'll snag one eventually, won't he, Chase? I fold my arms over my chest. I think he might need to get over some stuff before trying again, to be honest. Anxiety, all that sort of junk. TJ nods. Weren't you going to go hiking? TJ glances to the side, seeming to eye each open doorway with a sense of wariness. Flynn texted me and said he wanted to talk. You know, about what happened at the lake. I blink. And you agreed? My voice comes out more surprised than I intended it to. Again, TJ nods. TJ, you don't have to. It's my decision, Chase. I want to help. I sort of knew this was coming when I came back. And I know it hurts Flynn. Despite his words, TJ doesn't look remotely confident, the lynx shifting restlessly. But I didn't know that you would be here, though. I don't know exactly how to respond to that, so I pulled out my phone to tap away, giving the lynx an understanding nod. Sort of the Cole manoeuvre, I guess. Well, don't worry. It'll be okay, I think. You think? Oh, here we go. We're back. Cole got sick again, puked all over the historic hanging tree. Cole offers a meek wave, which freezes when he sees TJ standing next to me. He quickly shoves both of his paws into his front pockets. Flynn notices TJ as well. He doesn't show any signs of nervousness. Jesus, is this really happening? He moves over to us and rests his behind on the back of his desk, his large tail wrapping around it. There's something about the sight that accentuates how damn huge he is, and I can't help but wonder if he's doing it on purpose. Carl remains motionless by the front door. We lock eyes for a moment, but our attention shifts as Flynn speaks. Thanks for, showing up and stuff. TJ says nothing, the lynx standing next to a small pot, which he keeps bouncing his foot against. I see Flynn's Adam's apple bob, the Gila wetting his palate like his whole mouth has gone dry. Meanwhile, Carl looks like he's about to be sick again. Okay, pick one. I guess it makes sense to go with Flynn, as his is the route that we're pursuing. I gingerly step over beside the large Gila. He raises a brow as I approach. What's the old saying? He might be an arsehole, but he's my arsehole. That might have more sexual connotation than I intended. Regardless, I told Flynn I wouldn't stop him when he finally did this. The question is now whether I can manage to keep my word or not. TJ, you can sit if you want. I don't want to sit. The lynx responds quickly. You want some water or soda? Do you still drink soda, or does that just give you too many hell points? I don't need anything to drink. Thank you, though. The feline remains on edge, guarded, seemingly readying himself for the gear to explode like he did back at the river. Alright, so, I'll ask you again. What happened, TJ? For some reason, hearing those words again makes my heart lurch within my chest. This is so fucked up. And I told you, I don't know. How the hell could you not know? You were there. Play it back to me, step by step. Flynn. I see the lizard's tail pull inward. Flynn himself is stone-faced, but he can't keep that thing still. I rest my paw on the small of his back, and Flynn's shoulders rise some. God, sensitive everywhere, isn't he? TJ notices us and shifts awkwardly. He looks toward the exit, his longing to be out of this situation pretty evident. All details. I don't care what you think is insignificant or not. TJ takes a deep breath. We were playing on the beach. I was building a sandcastle. There wasn't much sand, so I was using mud. Jenna helped. So Jenna was with you. Not the whole time. Sydney ran up and did a wrestling move on it. You were behind Sydney. You laughed. I think Cole did too. No. Cole's protest is barely audible. I'm starting to remember some of this. Cole was asleep, wasn't he? And Leo? He was finding skipping stones, I think. Leo wasn't there. Leo wasn't there? Leo's prepubescent voice fills my mind. I'm sorry. His language skills weren't great, so he just stumbled through a sobbed apology. I promise protecting all of you from now on. Chase was. He looks over to me for a moment. Yeah, he caught up with me after I ran off. Flynn, you were there for this part. You remember all of this. I remember Jenna coming up and yelling at me about Sydney. You were the one who told him to destroy my sandcastle. Flynn's eyes narrow. This isn't about your stupid fucking sandcastle. TJ crosses his arms over his stomach, as if hugging himself. Sid's dead. What happened? I see TJ's legs start to shake some beneath him. I've got to stop this. Flynn, that's enough. The Gila looks at me, his eyes a little wider. What? This isn't going anywhere. You're just making it awkward. Fucking what? You're just an Okay, I don't give a fucking shit if it makes you a little uncomfy like. You're all goddamn adults. I'm sure all your expensive therapists told you to talk about it. It's to talk about it. Chase caught up with me. All eyes shift back to TJ. He kept asking where Leo was. And then he ran off. Flynn looks to me. I couldn't find him. Someone's knocking on the door. What are you doing? Jenna marches in with her phone in grasp, seeming to ignore everybody else in the room but the Gila. Flynn grits his teeth, swearing under his breath. This absolutely better be the scene of you apologising. Her gaze finally shifts to the rest of us. Judging by the expressions on our faces, I think she's able to quickly discern that's not the case. You're completely out of line. Jenna, not now. TJ came here of his own volition. You're disgusting, you know that. You get pleasure out of toying with people. You always have, no matter how much it hurts them. She stands in the centre of all of us, speaking in a clear, solid tone. It doesn't seem to matter that she's over 1.5 feet smaller than Flynn. Like I was saying, TJ came here of his own accord, the others can vouch for that. There's only so much that can be of his own accord when you've been harassing him with text messages all week. Sydney was my best friend. I'm fucking entitled to know what happened. You're entitled to nothing. Jenna retorts quickly, speaking in a tone that's as sharp as a knife. The room goes quiet. Jenna's glare is unwavering from Flynn, who's looking at the floor now, and finally she speaks again. It would be best if you just left now, Flynn. You're in my office. Your office? She let out a quick, exasperated breath. You're a receptionist at a publicly funded city hall for a town of barely 50 people. You need to get over yourself. Leo pushes his way past Cole, the wolf also looking at his phone. Flynn. Cole and I do our best to get out of the way. He doesn't even notice me. Flynn stands straight up. What? You know what. The wolf seems to put himself in between the Gila and TJ. Flynn just blinks, holding up the flats of his large hands. I'm not gonna hit him, Jesus shit fucking Christ. Suddenly he looks straight at Cole. I told you it's a goddamn conspiracy. Jenna lets out a disgusted noise. Is that what you think? It couldn't possibly be your track record of manipulative, self-centered and downright mean-spirited behaviour. Flynn clenches his fist. You're so fucking quick to damn me. All I want to know is the truth. I feel Flynn's arm bristle against my own. It's happening again, just like it was at the river. I lean closer to him, replying back. I know. The truth is that Sydney had an accident and died, and you're completely unable to accept that. You're not the only person who's lost someone. Your way of making yourself feel better is by bringing everyone else down with you, and that's unacceptable. You can't let go, can you? Just a total control freak who thinks they know what's best and who deserve what. We all know you hated Sid the most. Hell, you told Cole that you were glad he was dead years ago, and guess what? He told me. Cole looks down at his hooves. Jenna's about to speak again, but Flynn cuts her off. TJ, go on for where you left off. We get 1 week with our old friends, our family, and you ruin it, man. TJ still holds himself tight. I need to do something. I step forward. Condemn. That's harsh, man. That's harsh. I don't want to condemn Flynn because he's the only person who's fighting on his side. Everybody else seems to be against him. Ah, sorry, Flynn. The Giller's jaw drops some as I stand beside Jenna. I can't let you do this anymore, Flynn. I'm not just your damn toy who you can use for your stupid plan. I just wanted to help you, to fucking understand you for once. Remember what you said? I'll beat the shit out of him if I have to. TJ backs away some, his eyes widening. Jenna fires her brow at Flynn, who looks a mix of befuddled and enraged. That's not happening. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. The giant Giller practically hisses. I don't think any of that shit you said about Leo's true either. At first, you just kept saying that he changed, and that all he does is bully people and fuck randoms. Jenna's right. You just manipulate people to get what you want. You knew damn well what I was hoping that I wanted. I make sure to look at Leo with a sort of sorrowful, longing look. I trade off, and Leo quickly steps up. Go on. I bite my tongue for a moment. Flynn seems like he's about to pop. I peer up at Leo. His blood's just run cold by the look of him. He made me think that you didn't care, and he actually loved me, but all he wanted to do is fuck, man. He kept saying I shouldn't see her, and that you were dangerous, and I needed to help him plan his interrogation. He's making it all up. Didn't you just see what he did? He does it all the time now. And that's why I texted you guys. I didn't want TJ to get hurt. You're the one who texted him? I didn't know this. When did this happen? Chase. Next thing I know, Leo is bending down to scoop me up into his embrace, his muscled arms around my back. It feels good, despite the circumstances, and I hug him back. What the fuck, you false motherfucker? Flynn. Jenna, you have to just shut up. The look on her face is absolute repulsion at this whole situation. Man, it's been a long week. I mutter. I feel the wolf just shake his head. His cheek rubs firmly against mine. Fuck yeah, it has. Wait, what? No. Cole speaks up from the corner of the room. His voice is faint, but we all hear it. Dudes, Flynn wouldn't hurt TJ. I don't know why you guys would think that he would. Even if he did say it. Cole's voice peters out meekly. Leo pulls back from me, and I feel a weird sense of loss. Maybe I'm just touch-starved or something. This sort of bad business sounds just like him, yeah? I felt in my gut you were trying to tell me something yesterday at the party. I should have caught on sooner. I knew it. I just knew he was trying to take you, Otter. Even Jenna gives Leo a bit of a sidelong look. And was manipulating Tej, that too. He adds quickly. TJ just keeps frowning, his face plastered with a blank stare. I don't pretend to understand the whole Chase Flynn thing, and almost none of that sounds like him. You think I'm some kind of femme fatale type, seducing poor fucking innocent Chase to do my bidding? That's balls. You're full of shit. You fucked him. I know as much. Oh yeah, deduce that from more spying through my fucking windows? No, Chase told me himself. This catches the Giller off guard, enough for his next torrent of profanity to get stuck in his throat. Oh, yeah, I fucking sullied his goddamn virtue, sure. Just ruining him with my corruptive cock. Jesus. Leo says nothing, unable to bring the words to reality. He shakes his head, and I think I can see his fangs start to bare. Flynn throws up his arms, letting out an exasperated exhale. Yeah, Leo, I fucked him. And he moaned like a bit... Alright, Leo tosses such a fierce slug of punch that Flynn's face looks like it vibrates in place. The Gila crumples to the ground. Leo? Leo kicks the large lizard's waist as he attempts to cover himself, Flynn letting out a choked groan. Yeah, you patchy shit. He's moaning like a bitch now. Stop it. Flynn, are you okay? Cole's voice cracks, just like it did when we were kids, his tone worry-laden. Jesus, Leo. Flynn's still on the floor, and Leo's leering over him, fists clenched. Stop! TJ practically shrieks. All heads turn, even Flynn's, which is looking a little battered. TJ, I saw how Sydney died. His voice is so quiet, in contrast to his initial yell, that it's like a splash of cold water. Tej, you don't have to give this piece of dirt the satisfaction. I want to. He deserves as much. He seems to take a moment to get his breathing steady, the link's looking shaky. I had to run off to be alone by the water on the far side of the beach by the outlet. I was upset and I wasn't watching the water. There was some shouting in the distance. It just sounded like, I don't know, how you guys used to be. Loud, you know? The lynx rubs his paws together, rocking upon his feet. About 10 minutes passed and I heard a splashing sound nearby. I looked up and I thought I saw someone in the water. There were bubbles. Lots of bubbles. And then I looked up and saw this thing standing down the shore a ways. It was really tall, like a person thing, but burned all over, like hot ashes in a fire pit. What? Tears brim at the edges of TJ's eyes. It started walking into the water, and I just ran. I ran, and I ran, and I ran. Cole looks at TJ dumbfounded. Please. Flynn sputters, visibly in pain. No more fucking bullshit. I'm serious. I've talked to so many therapists, counsellors, youth group leaders, and no one believes me. TJ's brow wrinkles, his chest heaving before finally the lynx breaks down into a sob. No one will ever believe me. It hurts so much and I'm scared all the time. It's quiet. We all stand there, watching the lynx cry. No one speaks, and no one reaches out to him. Snot runs down from his nose. He tries to wipe it off with the inside of his shirt, but he just smears it. He clutches at his own whiskers, tugging at them. As I was running back, a quarter mile away, someone tackled me into the water. They held me under so long, lights started popping in front of my eyes. The lynx gestures, opening and closing his paws in front of his face. Everything after that got fuzzy, like I was dreaming. 2 bodies, both had brown fur. That's all I could see. Undulating in this constant, restless motion. It all comes back so quickly. The sky's overcast, the air crisp, autumn. TJ sitting in the daze, Jenna running back to town, Flynn putting me into the water, me grabbing onto next gruff, putting back to shore. Cole sitting on a rock, bawling. Leo starts trying to do compressions, and Sydney just stares. Sirens, the helicopter rotors, adults everywhere. I'm home, Mum's holding me. Dad puts on my favourite movie. I watch. But still, Sydney stares. 2 bodies, both with brown fur. Slowly, I start to feel their eyes shift toward me. All except for TJ. He stares only at the floor and mutters, I'm sorry. I look to Flynn, Cole, Jenna, Leo, and they all have the same look in their eyes. Nothing of malice, hatred or contempt, but a sort of mournful pondering. Both with brown fur. No way, Tudor. This joke's gone too far. Leo looks to the others. Jesus, I didn't do it. Yeah, I know that, Otter. You and I were closer than any people I know, yeah? I would have found out if you did. I mean, you went through that whole emo phase, burying your soul to me constantly. You're a whingy little bastard, remember? He puts on a smile, seeming to shine it like a spotlight on the others in the hopes that it will be contagious. It isn't. TJ. The lynx just sniffs. Why didn't you ever tell the police this? I thought the monster got him. We didn't find Sydney by the outlet, TJ. Jenna looks troubled, more troubled than I've seen her look in years. She's always the stoic figure of rationality and taking things apart logically. But now, she's just quiet. Flynn and Cole keep staring at me. I know what they think. And it's wrong. Flynn gives me a long, blank look before walking toward me. Flynn, Flynn's knocked us out or punched us or something. Oh my god, Flynn. Jenna's voice comes out muffled as I stagger back, grabbing my jaw. Ow. It feels like my brain is scraping the top of my skull. I just want to lay down and sleep. My knees go weak and I can feel myself teetering backward as if in slow motion. For some reason, it's like I'm expecting nice cool water to greet my backside. That tipping sensation sticks with me and I realise I'm not actually falling. Flynn! Flynn! Leo's shout keeps repeating, and each time it's quieter and more distorted than before. You hold your paw up in front of your face, and you actually do it. You move. I didn't do that. The kids in front of you are just red blurs. I just want to lay down. Don't. There's a black and orange figure in front of you. Don't let the lizard hurt him again. You hear shouting, but not from the inside. Outside. The blurred group isn't looking at you anymore. Get out. I don't care. I don't care anymore. A cracking voice comes from outside. If I had to guess, it sounds like it's coming down from the block. Everyone but Flynn is peering out a small window near the door. The Gita, however, is still staring at me. His eyes look like they're shaking in their sockets. Oh Lord, my Lord, good Lord. Oh, how you test me so. I fall upon my knees and ask you where to go. What's going on? Carl tries to peer past the bulk of Leo to see where the commotion's going from. My head's still reeling from Flynn's punch. He's never hit me before. Well, never seriously. He wasn't ever the sort that got into physical fights growing up. Usually he'd just stomp off and sulk if something truly upset him. But now he doesn't look like he's budging. It's Clint. Who's he yelling at? God. Leo looks over his shoulder, peering at me. You okay, Otter? I feel heaven's call in every canyon's edge, just past the overlook window, or at the bottom of the water, all tied up with a kedge. I feel myself backing up. It's like how I felt on the roller coaster, strapped on the chain lift. What's happening to me? Chase? Flynn begins to follow. Flynn, you stay right there, or I'll beat your ass double hard, yeah? Leo, for God's sake, all of you stop. Where are you going? I make a sound. I think I say home, but it comes out rather garbled. You can't keep running away from this shit. TJ squints, his nose pressed against the window pane. He's holding something. Yeah. I keep stepping back, my legs feeling like they're vibrating. My movements are abrupt and jerky. I manage to get into the hallway and approach a door covered with caution tape. A placard denotes it as the reading room. I grasp the handle and I have to give it a hard shove before it budges. The door's heavy. I'm nearly overwhelmed by the musty smell from inside. The corner of the room is completely stained from rain damage and the roof is boarded up. There was an exit here, but it's gone now. Why do I know that? I stare at the little section of wall where the old wooden door used to be. A small picture of a group of quail crossing a dried wash is in its place. As I move to leave, I notice the door won't open. It's hard stuck in place. It's locked. A sharp crack rings out from somewhere outside, followed by the quick scurrying of feet upon the carpeted floor of the lobby. It's a gunshot. I try the door again more fervently, hoping that I'm just putting a coal here and putting when I should be pushing. Still nothing. Fuck. More shots ring out, this time accompanied by a dull thud and the sound of stucco being shattered. Those ones hit the building. I get down on the floor, my heart pounding. It still feels like I'm moving in slow motion, even with the adrenaline pumping through my veins. The hell's wrong with me? I hear the front door open, followed by more scurrying upon carpet. Why the hell are they running outside? I hear an engine start, then the spade of gravel as what sounds like Leo's van driving off. They left me? Even Leo? I crawl on the floor, making my way toward the corner of the room. I pinch myself, trying to snap out of this strange malaise. I can hear the occasional shout from out on the street, but it's all gibberish now. Leaning back against the wall, I rub my throbbing temples. Tweakers. Couldn't have showed up at a better time. I try to listen, to see if the shouting's getting closer, but it's difficult to tell. If that really is Clint, this is really out of character for him. He never really was the singing type. Screaming, yes, but singing, no. Looking around, It seems like most of the old books and such have been taken off the shelves and put in assorted boxes to prevent water damage. Having lived here my whole life, I've never actually been inside here. That feels like quite a feat, noting that I've covered damn near every other square inch of town. There are a few binders and booklets near my side, with titles like Coalfield Stormwater Drainage Plan 99 and Drought Resistant Plant Guide. Next to them, there's what seems to be some kind of unopened canister of fumigation stuff. I reached down to grab it when I noticed the fur on my arm. It's wriggling. A couple brown strands of fur seem to bounce back and forth, and I become cognizant that my arms have been tingling for a while now. Glancing past my fingertips, I see this beige mass near the end of my foot, and that's when I see the legs. A blonde tarantula about an inch away from the tips of my toes. Ah! My throat closes in on itself before I can fully scream. I blink, writhing back. Next thing I know, it's on my chest. It moves faster than I can even see, its pittering legs feeling like they're all over me. I grab the edges of my shirt, trying to fling it off, but it's already on my neck. I snap at it, feeling the squish and hearing a very light clicking squeak. The edge of my neck begins to burn, and I pull back my paw to inspect my palm. There's no tarantula. Instead, I see the 8 razor-thin legs and black abdomen. On the abdomen, there's a splotchy pigmentation of red, the number 8. My pulse quickens when I realise it's an hourglass. Black Widow. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god. I look down at my arms and realise it isn't just my fur moving. There are little red and black specks everywhere. No! I tear at my own shirt, jumping to my knees and trying to bat at the seemingly infinite number of spindly fanged arachnids. Each time I bat at my arms, more of their guts cover my paw pads and fur, until it feels like my paws are wet. It's not just my arms anymore, they're inside my shirt, my shorts, my face. I try plugging my nose, keeping my muzzle shut as I roll on the floor, not daring to open my mouth to scream. I fling my shirt off and put off my shorts. I see the webbing of the nest I sat upon on the fabric of my shorts, oodles of the baby and not so baby spiders crawling out. Naked, I manage to scramble to my feet and run to the other side of the room. I tear up my own fur, putting out spider-filled clumps in the process with such ferocity that the skin beneath bleeds. I pull and pull, my vision blurred from my own fear-induced weeping. The needle-shot sensation of when they bite is the worst part. It doesn't hurt as much as I thought it would, but I can feel it every time, over and over again. I pull a large one off my face and throw it to the ground, a scruff of fur and some of my goatee going with it. Dancing up and down, I try to shake the remaining ones off, but they cling incessantly. Trying to pull each one off is impossible. They're too fast. Sometimes I only manage to grab a few legs or a thick abdomen, and the rest of them remains embedded in my fur. Spider blood isn't red or green like it is in the video games or movies. It's this faint kind of blue colour, and it feels like it's all over me. I take rapid short breaths, each one more strained than the last. My whole body shakes. I can't tell whether they're symptoms of panic or the venom itself. I try the door again, pulling and pushing as hard as I can before throwing myself at it. Nothing happens. I kick at it like they do in the movies. Nothing happens. I'm stuck, trapped, and I can see the spiders everywhere. Even after getting most of them off, they're all over the floor and the walls and the ceiling and my clothes. I retreat to the dampest, water-stained corner of the room. The staining's so bad, it looks like it's been burned black. Spiders don't like moist areas. I remember reading about that at least. I continue to pick at my fur, even after I think they're gone. I can still feel them. I can also feel my muscles around my neck and shoulders begin to cramp. My stomach feels like it's being twisted inside out, and it isn't long before I get the sensation of hot bile rising up my throat. The rough edges of the morning's rice treats scrape my insides. I reel forward as it comes spewing out of my mouth. I can't breathe, and it burns so much. I try to call out for help, but every time I open my mouth, it's just more vomit. There's another black widow climbing up my leg, but I can't focus enough to swat at it. Each breath I take is blubbering, like acid's going straight into my lungs. I just need someone to help me. I clench my eyes tight shut, and when I open them, everything's different. The modern bookshelves and electronic equipment are replaced with all this old-timey crap that I can't make out. But I see it, past the big wooden chair. It's a door. How the hell? The puking has slowed to a trickle from the edges of my mouth, but my insides still burn. I managed to push myself off the wall, stepping onto creaky floorboards that weren't there a minute ago. I stumble past old wagon wheels and piles of what looks like Bibles. Eventually I reach it, the light. The door is already open ajar, so I just push. And it doesn't budge. No, why won't it open? I sink down to the floor, half collapsing as my knees start to give out. Help. I finally managed to croak it out. Good lord. I managed to turn my head in the direction of the voice. A blurry figure now stands in the room, his voice one of shock. Professor Tibbets? I can't tell if he's looking at me or past me. Cliff? And just like that, he's gone. The room though, the room's still here. It's all red like before. I feel compelled to stand up again, but my legs won't budge. I just can't. Everything hurts. I shift my eyes down. The black widow that was crawling up me earlier is now a blonde tarantula. Why is this happening? Someone... I can't think straight. I just want to go home. Leo, Mum, help. I miss home. God, I wish I was home. I hate this. Why won't anyone help? Why'd they all leave me? Why can't I get out? Useless. No, don't tell me that. Just die already. I'm not gonna die. I'm not. The cramping in my muscles is the most intense I've ever felt. It's like the flesh itself is being peeled from the bone, each nerve ending plucked like whiskers. The tarantula's on my face now, on the tip of my nose. I can see all of its eyes, and in those eyes I see the reflection of my own. Its dusty blonde hair begins to shift, dissolving into darkness contrasted with neon orange markings, and then it becomes nothing. I close my eyes and wait. Oh wow, what is going on? I think that is a good point to break this episode off. This is Ushov signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.